The Plank. Presented by Jeep continues right now on ABC Action News Now.
I think I've officially lost my head. You seen it?
No, I don't know where it is.
I don't know. Well, listen, folks, welcome back to The Plank. TK along with John Sable. This is the final 15 minutes, so if you want 15 seconds of fame, on the telly, 813-367-0171. But a lot of people have fantasies, and I know Mr. McGuire does too.
Yes, our fantasy guru. You saw him here last week, a live segment with our own chief meteorologist, Dennis Phillips. They had a great fantasy debate about players who to pick up and players who to watch coming up into this week. So we're going to see if Mr. McGuire was accurate in his assessment last week and who to sit this week and maybe who to pick up on the waiver wire as well. As I know you're not doing fantasy football this week, or this year rather. I am. So without further ado, here's our weekly annual segment here on our fantasy moment with Matt McGuire.
Welcome to week 8 of the fantasy football segment here on The Plank. It was great to have Dennis Phillips join us last week while the Bucs were on a bye week, but now they're back in action against the Minnesota Vikings. So we'll go back to our regular format where we're going to talk about that matchup with the Vikings from a fantasy perspective. We'll talk about a couple key injuries that occurred last week and a couple players that you might want to add to your team. So let's start with the Bucs. Now, they were on a bye last week, and boy, did they need it. Hopefully, the players and coaches took this time to sit back and look at some of the things that were going wrong and try to correct them so we can finish strong this season. Now, the question on a lot of people's minds, now that Josh McCown is back and healthy, is there going to be a quarterback controversy here in Tampa? Mike Glennon's played really well at times, but he's also played pretty poorly at times. But I go back to a comment I made a few weeks ago. It doesn't really matter who's at quarterback if our offensive line can't give the quarterback some time in the pocket. So I still say Vincent Jackson's really the only safe play from a fantasy perspective for the Bucs this week. But the Minnesota Vikings have given up the 5th most points to running backs all season long. So this might finally be the week that we see some production from the Bucs running game. The question is, though, is that going to be Bobby Rainey or is that going to be Doug Martin? You also want to keep in mind Charles Sims, the Bucs rookie that they drafted this year, is starting to practice again. He'll probably be back in the next week or two, and he's a player that really is well at catching the ball out of the backfield. And with the Bucs offensive line playing like it has, that's something that the Bucs are probably going to need here pretty quick. Now let's talk about a couple of those injuries. Now, Reggie Wayne went out with an elbow injury. He's probably going to miss the next week or two. And in that high-powered passing offense in Indianapolis, those targets got to go somewhere. Reggie Wayne was averaging about 8 to 12 targets per week. Now, a player that I talked about in a couple weeks ago was Hakeem Nicks. And I think that's the guy who's going to pick up a lot of the slack for Reggie Wayne while he's out. So if you've got Nicks on your team or he's out there on the waiver wire, you're going to want to add him to your team. Another key injury is the running backs for the Buffalo Bills. Now, the Bills have been one of the most frustrating teams from a fantasy football perspective at the running back position for probably about the last 4 or 5 years. They've got Fred Jackson and C.J. Spiller, and both of them do just well enough to trade carries each and every game. Well, Fred Jackson went out with an injury last week, and everyone got really excited that this is finally going to be the time that C.J. Spiller could shine. Well, that lasted for about one play. He had a big run, 53 yards downfield, but when he got tackled, he broke his collarbone, had surgery, now he's out for the rest of the year. So you want to look at guys like Bryce Brown, who's in Buffalo now. He was the backup in Philadelphia for the last few years, and he had some really great games backing up for an injury to Shady McCoy. In fact, 2 years ago, he had back-to-back games of 160 yards and 2 touchdowns. The other guy, though, in Buffalo is Anthony Dixon. Now, he was in San Francisco the last couple of years, and he was a special teams player, but he also got a lot of carries around the goal line. So my question is, who's really going to get the plays here in Buffalo? Is it going to be Brown or is it going to be Dixon? I think what's going to happen is Brown will get a majority of the plays in the middle of the field, and then Dixon will come in when they're ever in a goal line situation. So if you need some help at running back, you can look at either two of those players, but really I think it's a situation I personally would stay away from. Now, another running back that you might want to add is Trey Mason from the St. Louis Rams. Now, you may remember Trey Mason. He was the running back for the Auburn Tigers last year when they went to the national title game. And the Rams drafted him, but he really didn't play the first couple weeks. In fact, he made his NFL debut just 2 weeks ago against the 49ers. Then last week, he had a huge game against the Seahawks. 18 carries, 85 yards, and a touchdown. Now, the Rams have two other running backs on their team in Benji Cunningham and Zach Stacy. But it's clear to me that Trey Mason's definitely the most talented of those three, and he's adding a spark in that backfield. He runs hard and he's quick. So I think Trey Mason, out of those three players in St. Louis, is your safest bet from a fantasy perspective. And lastly, I want to talk about a guy I highlighted in week 1 as a potential super sleeper, and that's Tavares Cadet. Now, I mentioned he's been in the league for a couple years, but he didn't play a whole lot his first 3 years in the season. He's a pass-catching running back out of the backfield, and I mentioned how the Saints lost Darren Sproles, and Cadet was a good type of mold to fit into what Sproles was offering them. Well, it's finally starting to happen. He's number 5 on the team in total targets, and in the last 3 weeks, he's had 15 catches, about 120 yards, and a touchdown. They also had an injury to Pierre Thomas, who was Drew Brees' favorite target out of the backfield. So expect Tavares Cadet to come in, get a lot of those targets, and put up some big numbers. In fact, sometime in the next couple weeks, I expect to see Cadet with a 10-plus catch game. So if you play in a PPR league, you're definitely going to want to have Tavares Cadet on your team. Now that's all I've got this week. Thanks for watching. I'm Matt McGuire. And remember, hashtag The Plank on Twitter if you have any questions.
All right, Matt. Thanks, buddy. What are those footballs doing behind him, man?
I don't know where he got those awards or those
I
footballs.
saw they were NFL footballs. Did we win any like football leagues around here?
I don't know.
That was by our trophy case. Do you notice that? You see that?
In our office.
That's our office?
You didn't know?
Hell no.
Well, now you know.
No, but I figured, I don't know. Hey, English, did we win any football games around here or something? We got 2 footballs here. What the hell are those for? You've been around here for 29 years. He's not even 29.
He's not 29.
No, I'm just kidding. All right, well, what are we doing? Oh, that's me.
Your Tom Corn keys.
My keys to the game. Lay off the Peds, boys. Right?
Peds.
Those are performing-enhancing drugs.
I see what you
Not
did there.
Pez.
Oh,
You know,
Pez.
not Pez.
I don't
not
think
Pez.
that could be why they needed the weight loss medicine.
It's probably true. And next one is blitz like a maniac.
They need to, and they might have a
Because
chance to
make
do
Teddy,
that.
You know, scramble Teddy's brain up a little bit.
Well, they might have a chance to do that because that offensive line of Minnesota is not very good.
Sure. And try and hold the fans' interest into the fourth quarter. You know, like not have the whole place like
Empty.
empty.
Well, if it was the Ravens game, it wasn't the fourth quarter; it was the first quarter.
Yeah, I know. But I'm giving the benefit of the doubt.
All right, go with your picks this week. You have some big picks. You have going on? Look at that.
The last question that you had, you asked me were they going to win?
Yeah.
Yeah. Out of that, what do they call it, the buckshot?
The buckshot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're going to win.
You give me a score.
Yeah, hell, I don't know. I don't know.
A lot to lose. Come on.
How about 17? How about 20 to 14?
Real barn burner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what do you expect?
Well.
20 to 14.
All right, so you got the Ravens on the road.
Absolutely.
Cowboys.
They're just a good football
You
team.
picked the Redskins and Cowboys. Come on, that's like an easy game to pick.
Well, I got to have one. I got to have one right at least one a week.
That's true.
The hell, I haven't gotten the Bucks right yet, have I?
I know because the week that we usually pick the game, we are
talking
wrong.
about
And look at
something-
this. I also agree the Bucks win. I think it's about time. Vikings haven't beat the Buccaneers in Tampa since 1997. They are due for another loss, so the Bucks win. And then I have also the Packers going to beat the Saints. The NFC South is just a complete garbage league this year, and it's going to get worse because the Packers are going to beat the Saints. I know I'm going in reverse order, but I also think the Eagles are going to upset the Cardinals. And it's an upset because they're the road team, but both teams have I think, a near identical records, and both, I guess you could say modern surprises this year out of the NFC.
Oh, I think, well, Philadelphia, you know, Chip, he's done a hell of a job, man. God,
Yeah, but you know, I don't think
he's
they
done a
thought with that
great
schedule.
job. A great
Yeah.
job.
Nick
Arizona,
Foles is playing great too.
yeah,
quarterback.
yeah, he has. But some people, you know, don't. Of course, we're our boys. We're our kids from Atlanta. They usually want to know, do I take Foles or do I take? You know, I usually get the
Andy
same-
Dalton. Which one's Andy
Yeah,
Dalton?
take Dalton. See, was I right the other week?
You were.
Huh?
I was too. I picked
Yeah.
the same thing.
You see? You see?
All right, we have time running out here, but now it's that time of the show where we walk the plank. This week, Tom, you want to give it away? Who we have walking the plank?
Do I want to give it away?
Yeah, you got to give it away.
Well, ladies and gentlemen,
Without further ado,
without further ado, the dude loves diuretics.
could be anybody now. It could be one of two.
Well, it could be one of two, okay? And the other thing is that did he get caught with a pistol or something somewhere?
I don't know.
I thought he did, didn't he?
Yeah, there's some
At
drama.
Newark Airport? Didn't he?
There was a lot. There's so much that you cannot remember anymore.
Well, whatever. All I can tell you is the guy needs to lose weight and start playing some football. Ladies and gentlemen, my favorite and yours, Daquan Bowers.
Walking the plank.
What am Where's my feet in cement?
You're just not athletic. I have the moves.
Oh, I got this little.
I have the kick.
The hell
I
is
have
that?
the kick.
I look like the swashbuckler. The heck?
But you didn't have the moves to get him off the plank. That was me. So I think I take full credit on that. So
You did?
Daquan Bowers walks the plank this week. Last week it was defensive coordinator.
That was
Leslie
pretty
Frazier.
good. By the way, I liked your kick. That was
You
pretty
like
good.
that?
Was
Like
good.
my hiya?
Hiya?
Yeah.
Hiya. You know jiu-jitsu and
What? what are you talking
well,
about?
you go hiya. I thought you knew jiu-jitsu.
Jojo, it's jiu-jitsu.
I call it jiu-jitsu.
Karate?
You know GI Joe?
I know. Yes, I do.
Okay.
Are they friends?
I have no idea,
Oh, they could
but
be.
they're both Joes.
Right.
All right.
They're both Joes. Well, it's,
I'll tell you what. I don't know if
it's
you've
that
been
time.
amused, but I amused myself tonight. I'll
well,
tell you that much. We got details.
we do, and the Buccaneers
Details of what?
and the
you
Vikings.
know, I keep hearing things in my mind.
That-
Am I-
yeah, now you
what's
know
going
how
on?
I feel working with you every day.
I know what's going on.
Game day details. Buccaneers.
Oh, game day.
Vikings kickoff 1 o'clock, right across the street from our studios here at Raymond James Stadium. We both picked the Buccaneers to win. Hopefully, it's an exciting game and not a lackluster effort. Hopefully, coming out of the bye week, you think the guys are going to be healed. They're going to be hungry for a win. Hopefully, they do that because if
I hope
not,
they were embarrassed.
you're
They
going
gotta
to
be.
see if the Bucs lose again. You're going to see this guy right here pretty upset.
Yeah, and I'm going
next
to be
week.
by myself next week.
Yes,
so,
I am
So
not gonna be
God
with you.
only knows.
I can't
what's
keep you.
gonna
I
happen.
can't keep you in line next week.
No, you're going to be up chasing. I think you're going for the Yetis up there, aren't you, in Michigan?
Yetis?
Yeah,
Sasquatch?
The Sasquatch?
No,
Aren't
it's
you?
duck hunting.
Duck hunting.
But to you, I guess they could be.
They could be. I thought you were going Sasquatch hunting.
You know, that's in January. They
That's
like the colder weather.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's good. Are we done? Are we done?
Mm-hmm.
We're done.
We're gonna do another replay.
Hey, listen,
of the
I
play.
can't tell you how much we've enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And thank you, Colin. Thanks for the call, Richard.
And
The
Jim
rest
call-
of you, call next time, will you?
Jim called.
Jim. Oh, Jim. I apologize. Jim, thank
Yes.
you.
Thanks for watching, everyone. We'll see you guys next week.
Ciao,
I
ciao.
won't. You will.
See ya.